Many leaders today are faced with tremendous challenges that as a country, as a world, we've not seen in many generations. Uh, at the National Preparedness Leadership Initiative, we have a number of thoughts and ideas and tools that we think can help our leaders navigate this very complex world that we live in a very troubling pandemic. My name is Joe Henderson. I'm a distinguished senior fellow at the National Preparedness Leadership Initiative. Have been faculty there for numerous years. Prior to that, I was in the federal government. I spent 33 years in both the Air Force and at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, focused mostly on public health preparedness and response. So today, I'm going to talk about a very important element of our meta leadership thinking and practice model that we call connectivity. This won't be a long presentation, but it's an important element of our thinking relative to meta leadership. It was the first dimension that we developed to help support the teaching of leaders at the senior levels of our government. The connectivity model is made up of four different elements. We can break those down. The first and foremost, and where most of the literature focuses, is on leading down within your organization. So this is where you, the leader, you could be the leader of a division, a leader of a center, a leader of an agency. It's how you relate to your staff. It's how you relate to the work that you conduct that's commensurate with your mission. And it's where we spent, for decades, a lot of our thinking around organizational leadership has pretty much been within this space, leading within your silo, your organization. The next element of the connectivity dimension is, how do you lead up to your boss? For years, there wasn't a lot of literature, and a lot of people struggle with this. How do I create a mutually beneficial relationship with my boss, with my boss's boss? It's important. It's important to help you understand the direction that they're asking you to take your organization, your unit, your team. It's important to make sure that you can help your boss manage their time wisely. And it's also important to help your boss be part of your team as you try to meet their vision and mission requirements, and they try to inform yours. Leading up to your boss is an important dimension. So leading up and leading down is essentially how we've thought about leadership within the organizations that we've worked for many, many years. What's a little bit different about our connectivity model is that we like to get the meta leader to think outside of just your organization, outside of that culture, outside of all the rules that exist within that organization, that discipline, and to start to think about connecting across. How do I connect in a meaningful way with other division directors within my organization, other center directors? And then beyond that, how do I link with partner organizations where we share mission goals? How do I link with the stakeholders that we serve? How do I link with new partners that could potentially, once leveraged, could bring even more capacity to my organization? So those are the three elements of connectivity: leading up, leading down, and leading across that are really important. The next slide I'll mention has to do with building your situation connectivity map. And the situation connectivity map is really important, especially in crisis. When you're in a routine, non-crisis setting, your situation connectivity map, it still changes. There's always new projects, new ideas, new organizations that may share either culture or objectives, goals that with your organization where they're similar. In crisis, things change, and they change really rapidly. You may find yourself having to create connections with organizations you'd never worked with. You may find yourself having to connect with organizations that you know you must work with. Think of the COVID-19 response, all the organizations that are now meeting, unfortunately, for the first time during a crisis. Now, many of them have had relationships, but this particular pandemic is an all hands on deck scenario. And so you probably have situations where now, public health agencies may be working with the military, public health agencies may be working with the American Red Cross, police may be working with public health in the field, emergency managers are now having to work with supermarkets to ensure that people have a place to get food while they're sheltering in place. That connectivity map can be extremely complicated. And the way this tool is helpful is to just draw it out on a whiteboard, keep it there so it's not erased, and every time your connectivity modifies or you have to add new elements, you just draw a new shape, and you put the size of the shape based upon the size of the connectivity needed with that partner, with that organization, and you constantly modify your situation connectivity map so that you can see what needs to be managed. Because once you create those connections, you have to make sure that you and your team are working to sustain the connection. If a connection is no longer needed, then you can remove the connection. Chances are, though, you're probably in this particular crisis going to be continuing to add new partners, and they're all going to come at it from different power places. And it's important to map those out as a situation connectivity map. But this will help you build and sustain and leverage the positive relationships between people and organizations during the pandemic. And what we found in the past is that you'll find that these connections are even more important once we've gotten through this pandemic and we begin to recover, to determine how we're going to make our systems stronger in the future to endure a similar type of crisis. The last slide I want to mention, and this is important, it's a really important tool for the thinking and practicing meta leader, is what I call the key to connectivity. And this is really something you need to do for yourself, and make sure that you as a leader are talking about this with your team, because everybody needs to be emotionally intelligent. And we like to think highly intelligent. And the goal here is that you're developing forms of empathy that maybe you haven't had before. But in a crisis, especially such as this pandemic, empathy is really powerful. And the four elements here of emotional intelligence are making sure that you are staying self-aware. And one thing I've done as a practicing leader in public health response is to have someone who I trust to occasionally hold a mirror up to myself, so that if the crisis is taking me places I wouldn't normally take myself, they can help you to course redirect. And this will help you to self-regulate. So this is the leader in the conference when you're talking about a crisis situation and they're pounding the table, they're demanding things. That type of self-disruptive behavior is a demonstration that a person may be getting a little low in their emotional intelligence. And it's good to tell people that, because staff won't react to that for long periods of time. The last two parts of emotional intelligence that are important are the ability for the leader to be socially aware of the people they're working with, whether it's in an emergency operations center, people in communities, if they're working with high-level leaders in Homeland Security, FEMA, etc. They need to be socially aware of the people they're engaging with, because they have to engage with them. We need them as a country. We need our leaders to be socially engaged, so that they're looking out for each other, and they're leveraging their organizations to do the greatest good in how they work together to solve this complex problem that we're faced with today. And that is the key to connectivity, is to being emotionally intelligent. Remember, it's about you and making sure the team around you is also emotionally intelligent. For more information about these tools, to go into greater detail, I'll refer you to the final page, final slide, where you can go to our website and you can get additional information about how to use these tools. Thank you very much for your leadership. Just know that we're all praying and hoping that you are the best leaders that the country deserves and needs at this time of struggle. Thank you very much.